Okay, let me just do the introduction. Okay, good everyone. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we'll see your
Okay.
screen.
Okay, so good everyone. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to another Power BI section brought to you by UrBizEdge and Enterprise DNA. So our topic for today is Introduction to RowLevel Security with Power BI. And our guest speaker for today is Wegener. So this section is brought to you by collaboration between Enterprise DNA and UrBizEdge. So Enterprise DNA, that main focus is empowering Power BI users to change their world. So Enterprise DNA is also a Power BI firm. And about us, UrBizEdge. So UrBizEdge is the registered Microsoft Excel financial business data analysis enterprise firm solution in Nigeria. We specialize in helping companies and high-value professionals be on top of their business data. So as most of you know, we're also a training company. So this is our calendar for upcoming training. So on the 12th and on the 13th of April, we have Python for data analysis. Also, we're on the 16th and 17th of April, we have advanced financial modeling and also a mock exam. Also on the 16th of April, also the same thing also. So I'll just give a brief description about Wegener. So is the is the founder of Power BI Rangers, which is for data expenditure. Ranger works as a business intelligence developer at KUMAVISION AG, one of the world's largest implementation partners for Microsoft Dynamics. Is also a Microsoft MVP in the data platform. So most of my know the meaning of MVP. MVP stands for Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in the data platform, and he loves to inspire others with his solution. His mission is clear: get the most out of your data. Power BI. I want to over the session to Marcos. So Marcos, over to you.
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing my screen now.
So, yeah, I share my screen. I hope you see it. Please give me a short
I can see your screen.
Oh, okay. So, okay, we have the introduction already. So I'm Marcus Wegener. I'm a MVP. I'm a certified data analyst by Microsoft. I'm a super user in the Power BI community, and I'm available on all the social media platforms. I have a blog. I'm mostly blog in German, but if you follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter, you will find some interesting content. So now let's take over to the topic: what is row-level security? So think about it. You have a great data model and there's a table and you want to restrict this table or the access to the table to specific lines or rows. So we can use row-level security. In this type, we define a value for one column and the data model will filter out all the other columns which are not in this condition. So we can make security on row level. And the cool thing on this is it also works over the relationship. So if we have a dimension table and a fact table and we set a filter or a security, row level security on the dimensional table, it will go through the relationship and also filter the fact table so that these facts are not visible for any other people. Only on these rows you have permission on. So we have different kinds of row level security. Let's start with the basic kinds. It's the static row level security. What does it mean? So the static row level security means that we have a user and we have a role. The role maybe in this example, we have the role friends. It's depending on the country, we have the column country say, okay, if the country in this column is France, all users who are member of this role can see the records for the France, for the France sales in the sales data model. So if we switch this back to this diagram, you see we have in this data model, its underlying data model is AdventureWorks. We have a sales territory table where we can filter on the sales territory friends or on the country France, and we will so restrict the access to the sales table. So let us show this in the small demo. Okay. Here we have our Power BI desktop, and we see this is a sample or demo report on the AdventureWorks data set. And you see here all the countries or sales regions, and we want now to set a row level security on this data model to only see the France region. So we go here under the modeling pane, manage roles. Here we see we have one role, it's called France. You can easily create here another role, maybe Germany. And you choose the right table. It's the table sales territory. You want to add a filter on the country. And here on the country side, we have to enter the value which the filter should work on. In this kind way, it would be Germany. So we have now implemented a static role or static role level security, and we can also test it by using the View As menu and choose here the predefined, or for me, predefined role France. And you see we got a notification that we now looking on the data as France role, and we only see now data which are coming from French. The interesting part also is here that this data in the data view here is now exactly filtered on this sales territory. So if we go here, we see only the key 7, which stands for France, is available. We can also switch the static role from France to Germany, and we will see we get another data or other data, and switching back, you see here the sales territory is changing from 7 to 8. In this fact table, we only see this data. A short look at the sales territory table. You see here we are only get one line from the sales territory table. It's filtered on Germany, and when we remove the permission, you see here this is the full table of the data model. So this is really simple, straightforward. You can use it. This is static role level security. Not very fancy stuff. Let us take a look on the next step. The next step would be dynamic row level security. So what does this mean? Dynamic row level security don't define really the filter on a static filter. It's more lying on the data model. It's more lying on the data. So in this case, we have one user with his email address. The user has a role which is filtering the data model by the email address in the data. So it's more dynamic. It's not saying, okay, we directly static filter on France. No, we filter only the data which the emails belong to in the data model. So the same way here, we have the sales territory table. We will find a column here, which is the email address or from the representative, and then we will filter the data. So let us switch to a small demo again. So here, let us take a look on the data side. Here we have a column representative, and we have different user who are responsible or represent these countries. And now we want to add a role which directly filters on this email address. So let us go back to the, here we have our role management. I have prepared already here existing role for this representatives. I go to the sales territory and we see here, we set a filter. The filter filters on the column representatives and use not a fixed value, not a static value. We use a function, a DAX function, user principal name, which returns the email address with which the user is logged in and filters this table or restricted this access on this table down to this email address. So let us try this. We say, okay, we want to view this report with this role. And now the important thing is we have to enter the email address for which person we want to see this value. Let me see, I have prepared something on the menu bar. Oh, it's down there. Yeah. Right. Here it is, a Word document. Here we have one email address. So we say view as with this email address as represented. And now you see, okay, the data is again filtered, but now it's not filtered fixed on the country value, it's filtered on the representative's email address. So this is more dynamically, it belongs to the data, and yeah, you can expand this more and more, and we will see it in a couple of minutes what we can do else with this dynamic row level security. Okay. Okay, yeah. Now let us see the more advanced row-level security. In this case, we have a more complex situation. I will show you later. It's now depending not on the representative, so it's more on the salesperson. And the salesperson is a part or is another table which belongs to the sales territory. So each salesperson or one salesperson belongs to a sales territory, and this sales territory then filters the sales tables. So it's more than one step, and we have many-to-many relation or more advanced relationship. Let us take a look on the data. So here, maybe first we take a look in this data model. We have here the salesperson table, which is a many-to-one relationship to the sales territory. The sales territory is a one-to-many relationships to the sales table. So you will see depending on the relationship, normally the sales user will not filter in this direction to the sales territory. So here's the first trick. So we have to identify which salesperson belongs to which sales territory, and then filter down the sales table to the sales table. Let us have a look to the data. So here we have the salesperson table. It's one column here with is the connection or the key for the sales territory. We have here the email address from the salesperson and the salesperson's name. And so if I filter on one of these salesperson, I want to identify which sales territory they belongs to, then I want to filter the sales territory and get then the right data for this salesperson. So I have already prepared one of these roles. It's here. And here is the trick. We use a function contains, maybe we start from the inner function. At first, we filter the salesperson by the email address to get the record which belongs to our email. With max function, we identifies the employee key. Then we go to the sales path, identify the sales territory from the salesperson, and bring this in the relationship with the contains function to get the right sales territory the salesperson belong. So let us try this. We go here to view as. We use the salesperson role. We add an email address. It should be here, the issue out. And it will reduce our data, and we see now here the sales for Southwest. Let us check it in the data view. So we have here our salesperson. Here is his email address. He is in the sales territory 4, so he also see by filtering on this sales territory the sales data from his colleague in the same sales territory. Let us look to the sales territory here. We have filtered it down to Southwest, and then when we go to the sales data, we only see the existing or the sales territory for this data. So this is more advanced in that way that we have a relationship which don't have a direct link to the sales territory table in this case, and we use this contains function to identify which sales territory the salesperson belongs, and then filter down the sales territory table to get the right data. So back to the presentation. I think, let me see. I'm very fast at the moment, and I'm not sure if I have shown everything. Let me check one thing in the presentation. Yeah. Now I go back to the live demo. We have some more points here. So I already show you the salesperson table. And we have another information here. So the one thing is here we have a parent-child hierarchy in this table, and I already set it up to 3 levels for so that you can see also the next responsible person to each level. And we can also use this hierarchy for filtering so that the boss can see all the sales from his the salespeople he is responsible for. So let us take a look to the different to the different roles I have set up. So one thing we can better see it on this hierarchy slide. So we have here now a table with the hierarchy, and if I want to filter on this hierarchy, I have this role hierarchy salesperson, and we now checked the employee key from each salesperson belong on the email address. So we use a sales table, filter the salesperson table to one email address, get the max salesperson ID. Normally, it should only return one employee key, because each salesperson is unique in this table with his email address, and then we try to find or set a pass contains expression on the salesperson pass. The salesperson pass is this column here, where we represent the hierarchical path of each salesperson. So if here the salesperson or employee key exists in this path, he should be allowed to see the data from the salesperson. So let us try this. We use here the hierarchy expression and use one of the email address. So let us, okay, I think this is already in the clipboard. So we see Shu is on the level 3, and his boss and chefs are here. There's Brian and Stephen. If we enter an email address on another level, maybe Amy, you see she can see all the, she see his own line and all the people or salespeople he is responsible to, and Brian as the sales leader. And if we use Brian as email address, we nearly get all the data because he is responsible for all the salespeople in AdventureWorks. Another thing I have seen by Guy in the Cube is that if we use this practice of contains in this way, pass contains, it's a string expression, and a string expression is very slow. So if you have a lot of data, it may be slower than if you check the email address level by level. I show you again the data. 1 minute. So I also have splitted the hierarchy level to separate columns where you can see the email address for each of this level, and it's much faster to check all these 3 columns instead of make a pass contains query on this pass column. So you get the same result. I will show you when we use the hierarchy by roles function and filter on this level. You see we have here 1 record on Amy. We get all the salesperson Amy is responsible to, and by Brian we will get nearly all the data because Brian is the boss of all salesperson. So I think we have seen this different, or we have now seen different kinds of row level security. We started with the static row level security, where we filter the data model on one specific column, on one specific value, and this role is named like the filtering, and all the people who are in this role get this data which the static filter is set on. Then we have seen a more dynamic way. So we have set a filter based on the data and on the email address. In the first place, a very simple filter. We filtered it on the email address, and then we have done a more advanced filtering here with the salesperson. I only start it with this bigger solution. So the salesperson, we make a lookup on the email address of the salesperson and find out which sales territory he belongs to, and also all his responsibles, and then filter the sales data down. And then I show you the step-by-step approach how I can filter or I can use RowLevel security on our hierarchy, and how we can use it here. Okay, this is on the part of the role management, or for the first steps for the role management. Now let's step deeper in that way that we want to calculate the percentage of the whole with RowLevel security, or other maybe a benchmark for the territory on the whole company. So the problem is, if we have set this filter on French, we only see here from the whole sales the French data, and we can't, or the user with the French role can't see the sales from the other country because they are restricted on only the French data. So how can we bring it to work that we calculate the part of the whole? In this kind, that we create another table, a summarize table, where we don't filter on the territory and remove this information. So it's a more compressed table with only the necessary information we need to calculate the whole sales and bring it to the conversion of this from the sales. So maybe it would be much more clear now when I look back to the data model. Here we have the table and a column percentage of the whole, and you see here France is 8% or nearly 9% of the whole sales. But if we use the role France, it seems that, okay, lying on this existing data, French is 100%, because we only see in the sales table the rows which belongs to the sales territory. So when we want to show the percentage of the whole, my recommendation would be to create a new table. One moment. Let me see. It's kidding me. Why? I don't get the formula bar. Let me see if I can make it work. I'm not sure. I try to restart this file.
If you just close it up, open it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So what I want to do is to create a calculator table. Yeah, and to summarize the necessary columns. Maybe we can summarize it on date and maybe on reseller, some of the columns which are interested and maybe product, and don't summarize the column let us call this sales row level security. We make a summarize of the sales table, and we use some of the sales columns. Maybe the order date key, so that we can still filter the sales amount on the order date, and we can use the reseller key to see who was reseller of this information, this amount, and maybe the product key as example. And very important, we need the sum of the sales amount. If I have done, okay, here we need a name and costs. So this creates a new table. We can take a look on this in this data model. We see we have reduced the data, so we have now an order key, reseller, a product key, and the sales amount. And we don't have any additional information or about the territory where we are normally filter on. We also can hide this from the data model and connect this table now to the dimensions. So let us put this here, the date key to the order date key, the product table here. Maybe drop it here. The reseller, let me see here. No, the reseller key. Good. And now we have here the sales amount. So back to my report. We have here the percentage of the whole calculation, where we use the sales amount calculated on the sales amount from all selected here. And we can copy this. And instead of to use here a new name, protector of the whole row level security, and instead of the sales amount from the sales table, we now use here for the whole part the sales row level security sales amount. So if I have done everything correctly, I hope so, we can use this the same way. Let's see. Okay, I have to format this as percentage with 1 decimal. And you see in this case, when we have all the data, the amounts look exactly the same. And the same way it should work for the product information. Let's see, take a look on this. So we have here the same data, but now if a row level security role supplies on this data model, France. You see here, we have the 100% by part of this whole, but over the whole model, it's only 5%. Let us check. Or have I done something wrong? No, France here, 5.1. If we use the RowLevel security for the benchmark, we see here the user only can see the friends data on the sales side, but for the percentage of the whole, he can see the values from the whole in this meaning the values of the whole companies, but he can't see which territory these amounts belong to. So maybe you must be a little bit careful, because maybe you can find something out because of the reseller, but in this way you have to summarize the data on a granular level where you can make your benchmark for the part of the whole, and then this thing will work. Cool. So let's step back to the presentation. Oh, I see I'm very fast today. So we have one little thing, and this is a part of the RowLevel security in Power BI service. And I want to show you one thing, and that is the part that the RowLevel security also have something to do with access rights on the work space where you're working on. So in this moment, if we create a workspace and we also insert a report in this data model and a data model, and we have a RowLevel security on this data model, but the user have more than read permission on this workspace, he will see all the data. So I will show you this in a small example. This is my admin user. You see it's on the blue browser. And here we have a workspace, which is RowLevel security report and dataset. And we uploaded both here. Here is AdventureWorks RowLevel security dataset, and here's the RowLevel security report. For the access right, I have added a user Rainer Reader who only should read on the dataset with RowLevel security, but so also create reports. And so he had get member access to this workspace. And here in the security settings of the security setting here, he was assigned to the role friends. So normally, maybe you think he would get the friends data or can only see the friends data. But if I open the browser, this is the green one. Here I'm logged in as Rainer Reader. And we go to the workspace reports and dataset. You see, he can see both the dataset and the report. And if we open the report, he see all the data. This is because he has the full access on the dataset, and normally he would be able to override this dataset. And in this moment, he has full access on the dataset. The RowLevel security won't work. So how can we change this? There's a trick, or there's a. Let me see if I can come back to the presentation. So there's another way to deploy this data model. There's so we have to split it up into workspaces. One workspace only for the reports, and one workspace for the dataset. Inside the workspace from the dataset, we will give the user the role-level security role to friends, and he only gets a read and build permission to this dataset. So he is able to read the data from friends on this dataset, and he is allowed to create own reports or Excels and so on this data model. But if he creates a report, he have to save it on another workspace where he have member permission, and here he can save this report, and yeah, from here the other user can use it. So let us have a look how it works in the service. So here I have it's a blue browser, so we are in the admin user. We have here one workspace RowLevel security. I also uploaded here the dataset with the report, but now the user have no, the user runner reader have no access to this workspace. He has specific rights on this dataset. So I have set the security here for runner reader for the friends security role or RowLevel security role. And if we look to the, let me see, manage permission, we see here that for the dataset, the user runner reader has read and build permissions. So he can directly access this dataset and can build own reports on this. So if I switch back to the runner reader, we will see he has only one workspace here, the RowLevel security report workspace. Okay, it's German. Sorry. Oh, I don't have show this workspace in the German in the admin area here. It was a LS report workspace. It's empty, but Rainer Reader has member access rights to this workspace. Okay, back to Rainer Reader. He only sees this report workspace, not the other workspace. If we go to the datasets or data hub, we see here that he has two datasets, one from the RowLevel security report and dataset workspace, what we see before, and here the one for the workspace, RowLevel security and datasets. So if we want to create a report on this, let us go to the workspace with the report, say, okay, we want to create a new report. We pick a published dataset. We use this dataset with RowLevel security, say create, and then we create a very small report. We use here the country information and the, let us make it as table, and the sales amount. And we see he only is able to read the data from the friends. So we have now the possibility that the user runner reader creates reports, but in the same way that he is restricted to only the data from his RowLevel security. If we save this report as a RLS report in this folder or in this workspace, and we go back to the admin user. Here it is. And open this report, we see the admin user with full right on the dataset that now sees the report with all the data. So that is a way where we can deploy a dataset and give access to this dataset with RowLevel security. And then the user can build report with his own permission. And after that, other user can open the same report and see the report with the data where they get the permission on. So I think, okay, here was the live demo. That was all from my side, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm very thankful for your time, and maybe let us have a look on your questions.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
some question. Okay, one person said, is it possible to apply this security on certain columns and not the entire row? I think Michael Lafos already answered the person. So we can check it out. So is it possible to apply row level security on certain columns and not the entire rows?
Certain columns, not no, I don't think so.
So
what was your edge?
So yeah. Michael said, if you unpivot the column in one of the, if you unpivot the column into one column, it becomes possible to apply row level security.
Okay, then you have to change the data structure,
Yeah.
but you have to think if it worked for the model. The other thing, this might be another session, would be the part of, I never worked with it, the object level security. Then you are able to remove columns from the data model, and yeah, user can't use or see specific columns, but for RowLevel security, yeah, there's no method. I think the only thing you can do is to, as I have shown, is that you summarize the table, remove these columns the person shouldn't see, or make some different trick on this, and deploy this data in that way that the column is not available. Yeah.
Yeah. Even me, I would have gone for the summarize also. But okay, the person also said, okay, I want to hide or mark certain columns, but display the rest of the columns and row. Is it possible to use the unpivot columns? So the person was like, I want to hide or mark certain columns, but display the rest of the columns and rows. So is it possible I unpivot the column? Will it work?
Yeah, but I think there's some problems in that way that you not easily can yeah, mask or something in this normal data model. So you also it was also answered here that we're talking about Power Query, so it belongs on the way through the data, and I think if you are in this normal data model, in this part the data is loaded, it's very hard. I don't know how to mask some of the columns depending on RowLevel security. I don't. It's not possible because if the user have access to the data model, the only way is to apply the RowLevel security or to use the object level security. But if you use object security, I think you remove the complete table or complete column and don't only mask other columns. So I think yeah, in the DAX and tabular data model, it's not possible. Maybe you can mask some data during the Power Query ETL process, and bring this then live. But I think this is not so dynamic in this way. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Okay. So Marcus, so before we started, I was meant to ask you some certain questions. So but due to time, I was unable to ask it. So usually whenever I have special guests like you, We used to ask you, okay, how you started your data analysis journey, and what advice you have for people just starting out in the data field. Do you get the question?
Oh, how I started this? Well, I was
Yeah, like how you started your data analysis journey, and what advice you have for people just starting out in the field of data.
I think be interested, and I find a good starting point is the Power BI community, and start with look what the people are question in the Power BI community, try to solve such a problem, respond the answer, look on other answers which are provided to such a question, and always be interested how it works, and go on. Always challenging, find a challenge, what you can find a solution for questions. Yeah.
So be interested, and okay. So what about you? Can you tell us how you started your own journey, your unique journey in the whole data space?
Where I started or how I started?
How you started.
Please tell it another way.
Okay. Like my question is, can you tell us how you started your old data, your Power BI journey?
Yeah, hard to say. I'm not sure. Because
I know you have vast wealth of experience, but can you just like summarize how you started? Like, did you start from a company, or you started as a freelance, or how do you just start?
No, I was in the company, and we my first was I had education as a developer, more on the database side. We created database applications, and then I decided that I want to more focus on the business intelligence side, because I was very interested how to create flexible reports for the end users, because I was always interested how to create very efficient data models, so that the user can create his own reports and find the right answers of their questions. And so I moved on, was on a bigger company as an in-house consultant for the BI system for only a year, and then I moved on to KUMAVISION, where we create or we provide ERP solutions for our customers, and I'm on the BI team there. And we start with Microsoft Standard BI, so normal with cubes, SSES, SSIS, and so on. And then the big hype around Power BI starts. I think it's now 6 years. For 6 years, and so I start to learn Power BI and use the technique. This, I want to say it started earlier, because the tabular model was available on the SQL server before with Excel and Power Pivot, and there was our starting. So we really used this first approach of Excel Power Pivot and migrate this Power Pivot files to the tabular server, and then later we go through the Power BI desktop and the Power BI service and provide this as a solution to our customers. So I always, or most of the time, I was in a company as a BI consultant in our company. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Marcus, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience and everything. And in future, I'll also try inviting for another section. I hope you'll be available for us next time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I also learned a lot. Yeah, I will definitely try the dynamic role of security. I will definitely try it. And thank you very much. So bye, guys, and have a lovely week ahead. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Ciao.